Hello, welcome back. You're watching Breakfast with Naga Manchetti and Charlie State.
Good morning to you. It is 8:30. Thanks for joining us. After 37 years and nearly 9,000 episodes, the residents of Ramsay Street are getting together for the final time. The filming of Neighbours is finishing. It's coming to an end today.
So you will know the Aussie soap launched the careers of a number of Hollywood actors and pop stars, of course. Kylie Minogue, Jason Donovan, amongst those returning for a final farewell. Our entertainment correspondent, Neighbours Mazimba, has more.
Over the decades,
Everybody needs good neighbours.
its theme tune has graced so many of our living rooms. And today, Neighbours wraps production for the final time. Cast members old and new have been reuniting this week, returning to Ramsay Street for one last hurrah, including Neighbours icon Ian Smith, known for his role as Harold Bishop.
I love you.
Love you too.
Also coming back are arguably the soap's most famous couple, Jason Donovan and Kylie Minogue, aka Scott and Charlene.
It was lovely, emotional. Driving into Ramsay Street was quite something. I was like, firstly, where's all that time gone? Secondly, everything looks exactly the same. Thirdly, Scott, Charlene, Jane, Harold, I mean, it all came flooding back.
Neighbours has sort of, changed the landscape for a lot of, people and how they viewed Australians, and it certainly kept my family in business for a while. So I'm proud to have been part of that, and it launched my career, and I'm very excited to be part of the final episode.
The Australian soap has been part of British culture for almost 40 years, enjoyed by fans of all ages. Created in 1985, it was first broadcast on BBC One the following year. As well as packing a punch with audiences,
Charlene.
the show helped make stars of many of its young cast. Scott and Charlene's romance was one of the storylines that helped make what was initially a struggling Australian soap into a major UK hit. Their wedding in 1988 was watched here by close to 20 million viewers. The show's themes may not have been hugely original, but their setting in a sunny suburb of Melbourne, populated by a cast of colourful characters,
This is something special.
proved irresistibly popular here in the UK, rarely hitting a doth note with viewers. Even perhaps at its most surreal moment ever, Bouncer the dog dreaming of love and marriage. 21 years after its first episode on British TV, it moved from BBC One to Channel 5.
Let's celebrate.
Stefan Dennis's Paul Robinson may be the only remaining original, but with the transgender role of Mackenzie Hargreaves and gay characters like Aaron Brennan and David Tanaka, the soap has not only constantly replenished its cast, but has also aimed to better reflect modern society. Over the decades, the residents of Ramsay Street have survived fires, car crashes, explosions, even a plane crash.
Sir, have you read the safety card? What? Read it. It could save your life.
But with so much of its funding having come from Channel 5, it's their withdrawal and TV economics that have finally killed off the much-loved soap.
We run out of fuel.
The show may soon be over, but the love story between Neighbours and its viewers is sure to endure forever. Lizo Mazimba, BBC News.
Did you watch the wedding?
Do you know, I don't think I did, but what was it, 23 million people in the UK watched it? It's extraordinary numbers.
And I reckon loads of those watched it twice. It was on twice a day. I recorded it, I think, on my video recorder.
It's unheard of number. You think about soaps now and how many people watch soaps now, and it's, I don't know, what is it,
Different
6,
view.
7 million maybe
Yeah.
at best?
Let's talk to Andrew Mercado, who's an Australian television commentator and joins us from Newcastle in South Wales. Hello, good evening, I should say, to you, Andrew.
Good morning to you.
Thank you very much. How does it feel? I mean, we're talking about it here in the UK. It had a great impact on our life, and I think part of the reason we're seeing it come to an end, obviously, is in terms of viewing habits here in the UK as well. How does it feel in Australia, it coming to an end?
Look, I think it's really sad. Obviously, fans are upset that the show's coming to an end, but I think there's a realisation in Australia that Neighbours has been an incredible training ground for the TV industry. There aren't a lot of TV shows that are made every week of the year, and Neighbours trained a lot of talent in front of the camera and behind the scenes. And to lose that as a training facility and to wonder where young people in Melbourne who want to break into the industry are going to find work in the next few years, that is really concerning.
OK, I mean, we've seen, there's that side of it, of course. We've also seen the kind of nostalgia side of it as well. Lots of people posting on social media. And we've actually just had the photo of the final wrap scene, you know, the cast who have just been in that final scene today. We've just literally just seen it. So I think we can spot Harold, I see Susan, Carl, Stefan Dennis. I mean, Jim Robinson. Tell us about that, then.
Well, there's a lot of actors are coming back for the finale, and a lot of them were there on the set today just so they could watch the final scene. Not necessarily all of them were filming in episodes today, but everyone wanted to be there to share in this. And it's just so fantastic to see the really big, iconic stars of Neighbours, like Kylie Minogue, Jason Donovan and Guy Pearce. The fact that they've all gone back to join Annie Jones so that we can see Scott and Charlene and Mike and Jane together at the end of Neighbours. I mean, that's fantastic, and Neighbours fans are really appreciative of that.
Andrew, morning to you. Take us back in time a little bit to when Neighbours started in Australia. Were Australians slightly bemused that the rest of the world, and particularly the UK, took to it so much?
Oh, incredibly bemused. I mean, at one stage there were more people watching Neighbours in the UK than the population of Australia. So, yeah, we were bemused by that. But look, Neighbours had a checkered history. It had been axed by one network, it had moved networks, and it took a bit of a while to pick up. But then once it started working with Kylie Minogue and Jason Donovan around that time, it was popular in Australia, but we had no idea that it was going to become so popular in the UK and then travel the world the way that it did.
Yeah, as you're chatting there, we're seeing some kind of classic old footage of Jason and Kylie. Jason wearing some very skimpy swimming trunks on the beach in a beach scene there. But there are some very high quality actors who came out of that show, aren't there, over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Margot Robbie finished at Neighbours on a Friday, flew to Hollywood and was cast in her first American show on the Monday. I mean, we saw Guy Pearce and Natalie Imbruglia and Daniel McPherson and Delta Goodrem, all of these people going on to have incredible international careers. And it kind of got to the point where particularly Hollywood realised that if you were an actor that had been trained on Neighbours, you were actually really good at your craft. And so that's how someone like Margot Robbie could finish on a Friday and almost be working on a Hollywood show the very next week because of the reputation that Neighbours had.
Do you know what, Andrew? I think what's interesting is, and we've seen this with all soap operas around the world, in the modern world, is how they much more reflect society than they ever used to.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting about Neighbours in particular too, because, you know, when Neighbours started 37 years ago, and for a long time, and probably too long, it was an all-white heteronormative cast. And it kind of got to the point where everyone was saying, this show doesn't reflect Australian suburbia. And so I think it's brilliant that over the past few years they've mixed things up, and it leaves the airwaves as a multicultural show and as a show that has diversity in it. And I think that, as a timeline of Australian society and Australian television, is also a great thing that it's done.
Andrew, good to talk to you. Enjoy the nostalgia. Andrew Mercado there, film and television commentator, joining us from Newcastle in New South Wales, of course. Thank you.
So one or two of you get in touch this morning, and there is a lot of nostalgia around this. I suspect, if not sort of disappointment that the show is stopping, it's just a thought about what you were doing when you remember watching it. So Sue has been in touch saying she's so disappointed Neighbours is being taken off the air. She said, I was married in 1985, watched from the beginning. It was my time. 20 minutes, sit down with a cuppa after a long day at work has been part of my day for as long as I can remember.
And that's the thing, routine. It becomes part of your routine, doesn't it? Janet says, I was introduced to the programme by my dad when I was on maternity leave in 1985. Haven't missed an episode since. It also started my love affair with Australia, which I now visit most years, including having gone on the Neighbours tour.
And people, Mike, morning to you, people could go and look round the set. Oh. You could go and have a look round the set, and a lot of people did that. Amongst those people, hold on, have a look at this.
Wow.
And to who do you think
that
is the question.
Which one's John?
Have we got another? I think there's a close-up,
So you've got
isn't there?
Susan and Carl, the characters, Susan and Carl, haven't you? And on the left...
What year was that then?
Wow, 25 years ago, apparently.
Yeah. Wow.
Him.
That the beard, before the beard.
This is John Kay.
Our John Kay.
Wow.
He was backpacking in Australia, and he was in Melbourne, and he bumped into the Kennedys. They were filming on Ramsay Street.
Brilliant.
When you say bumped it, he must have deliberately gone
sorted
down
them out.
it.
He sorted
Like
them
the
out,
Neighbours
didn't
set, got to go and see.
Of course you have.
A moment in time.
Yeah, well, it was. It was part of our tea time routine, wasn't it, after work in the 80s?
Fabulous.
I remember the dog. Was it Bouncer? The big, springy
Labrador.
Labrador. Beautiful, yeah.
It's not so pleasant.
Well, the harmony of the neighbours.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, there's not much